Bern. Yenisei, the Russian team. Syabry, the Belarusian team. Yenisei in with an early start. And it's hard to predict who will come out the victor here, as teams do know each other well. They've fought alongside each other, they've trained, so they'll be very aware of how they fight, not just from what they've seen today. Both having a similar formation, but I still favour Syabry with when they break off into skirmishes. They sort of surround and defend the fighters, and they've been clinical with the halberds thus far. You can see a very tense start. Still not wanting to give too much away. Some strikes, but I think something will have to give fairly soon. I think they're still wanting to break away from each other and give away too much space there, although the Yenisei fighter might consider blocking off that Syabry runner. On this side, still no change. As a weapon, that might be the break that Yenisei have been looking for, although they don't capitalise on it, because the runner of Syabry did have them covered in case of any burst, or they could have gained a couple of meters. So there's a lot more movement on the other side, however, now, and that's already one Syabry fighter down. But a lot of aggression now shown from these Yenisei fighters. They've come out well. It's a great charge. Now this all change. Well, solid footwork from the Syabry fighters. Now, a very technical fight this, and you can see the timing and space is used very well, and that is another Syabry fighter down for Yenisei with this early advantage, 5 versus 3. And they're breaking off into different corners, but Yenisei with a big advantage now. There's a charge, but the Syabry fighter was waiting for good footwork. But still, the Yenisei fighters able to mark them in. Some movement though, and there was a slight risk there taken by the Syabry fighter, who was stalked by the Yenisei fighter. And that looks like there's another Syabry fighter down, so it is 5 versus 2. I can't see Syabry getting back into this, and that looks like it's called. Night Marshal calling the start of the second round. Yenisei, Syabry in this Buhurt Next final. What a tournament it's been so far. Phenomenal teams, and really any of them could be fighting in Buhurt Prime next year. Well, that's a great takedown already from the Syabry fighter. Unfortunately, maybe he wasn't on his knee. It looks like the marshals are discussing it now, whether or not he did have his weight on the knee. It appears not. So, an early takedown for Syabry. Yenisei holding back, going for the trip there, not completing it. Again, Syabry very, very solid on their feet. On occasions where you fear that they'll get tripped up, but despite the speed of the runner, they've had some very solid footwork. Now hemming the Yenisei fighters into the corner. Stuck for movement. This time the Syabry fighters opting not to use the pole arms. Of course that will change their strategy substantially, and of course it's paid off dividends so far, as they have the 5-4 advantage in terms of numbers. Some spacing out. The Yenisei fighter managing to break free, but he's going to have to choose his battle carefully. Syabry staying close with each other, and you can see some good teamwork. We'll have to do some more of that to get that big Yenisei fighter from the list. Again, as already mentioned, these teams know each other very well. Of course, both from Club Bern in Russia. It's nice, but at the moment it's very evenly matched. You can see it staying like this for some time. But all it'll take is a breakaway, which you've seen from Yenisei in particular. The question is, of course, whether Syabry can hold them in. And so far they're doing so. More good teamwork from Syabry, and it looks like Yenisei fighters still able to stand up. He's withstanding a lot of punishment. Of course, a deadlock on the side there. But the question is how much more of the weight and strikes that the Yenisei fighter can take. It looks like the Night Marshal is already involved there. He's looking to check the safety of the armour. More than anything else, you can see how worn out that Yenisei fighter is. Just a moment of adjustment called for by the Night Marshal, who looks happy to continue the fight. And yes, despite taking all that weight and punishment, the Yenisei fighter is still standing. Taking all that. It does go to a third round. Can't see him being involved in that one. That's a good strike that comes in right in the centre. This is a nice movement from Syabry, and a great kick there. So trying to swipe balance of the Yenisei fighter. And still a lot of energy with the Syabry fighters as Yenisei go down to 3 fighters. Looks like there is a Syabry fighter down now, so it's 4 against 2. And again, the longer they keep this going, the more difficult it will be if they go to the 3rd round. However, in the right off Yenisei. And the sheer weight of the clinches and the strikes coming down is starting to take its toll on both of the teams. It looks like there is maybe an armor failure there, which means that I've gone 2-1 and Syabry take the 2nd round. So very fitting that the final of Buhurt Next goes to a 3rd round. These two phenomenal teams who have demonstrated their level of fitness with the stamina, and of course their strategy, which has been solid throughout. More so, I have to say, with Syabry. Again, a slower start, but it's to be expected at this point, because in the 3rd and final round, any marginal slip, speaking of slips, could be costly. Again, you see Syabry who've returned to the strikes of the pole arms. Not so many this time, so in fact it's interesting that the two runners have clinched. However, the Yenisei fighter wanting to give away a little less, and it's an interesting way that they've changed now. The Syabry fighters teaming up there, and it's a breakaway again, going straight into the corner. The attempted leg sweep, I don't think they're going to get through that straight away. Of course, with that pole arm, there will be no strikes there, however they can hit. Again, you can see some teamwork typical of Claubert, whereby they actually protect their teammate in front with the shield. Of course, you can see the Syabry fighters with that buckler on the shoulder of his teammate to maintain that close contact. That's some strikes now coming in. That the polearm fighter being able to use his fist to return the strikes. So cautious with this part of the third and final round. Still, we might see a breakaway at some point. And you can see the Yenisei fighter, in fact, start moving away from his teammate, maybe trying to separate the Syabry fighters. We're all spread out, so if there is a breakaway, we'll have to cover some distance. So interesting that these Syabry fighters have forced back into the Yenisei corner, and there is a break already. However, that's a loose fighter, which could be dangerous. But that was well thought out. The Yenisei fighter unlucky not to get there, and it's very, very close there. A mistake from the Syabry fighter. Clinches again, however, fighters are much closer to each other in the far corner. We'll see what levels of teamwork will pay off. That's a nice evasive underhook from the Syabry fighter. Yenisei, however, forcing him down a bit, though there is that loose halberdier for Syabry. Every time the Yenisei buckler wielder there strikes, he looks around. Let's see, will we get it? Oh, that's a big strike there, huge strike from the Syabry halberdier. I think that's caused some pain for the Yenisei fighter, who went down hard after that big hit. So now it's opened out somewhat, and the aggression coming from the Syabry fighters. I think Yenisei have been caught off this. It's now 2 down. Syabry in control of this at the moment. I think they're going to use that halberdier to good effect. Striking down hard, but the strikes are coming big, and already there's 2 of them have gone down there. It's a double takedown in the middle. Syabry still with an advantage. At this point, he's understandably slowed down. So there it is. Syabry are crowned the winners of Buhurt Next.